Got Dami. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's going on, Flex?
I don't remember, like, we met at UMES.
Yes.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated 2017.
So that's 2 years after me.
Yeah. I remember that.
What did you major in UMES?
I did criminal justice.
How, we get straight into it. How you go from criminal justice to cybersecurity?
Yeah, I actually answered that question a lot. So initially going into college, starting off, I went to college to, be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. That was the end goal. So I figured, okay, they don't have a pre-law there in UMES, but they do have criminal justice. So why not start from that? So I went in there with criminal justice on my mind. I graduated and everything. I was doing my LSATs. Mm-hmm. Like, bro.
LSAT, that's where you get...
LSAT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to get into law school.
Got you.
So I was doing that. I finished it. I started applying to schools, to law schools. I got into like 3 schools or whatever. And then I was just looking at the acceptance letters, and I was just like, in 20 years, am I going to be happy with this? And that was the dilemma, because I've had that dilemma for a long time. But at the time, I felt like it was too late to switch. So I was just going through the motions until that letter came, and I was just looking at it like, am I really going to be happy in 20 years? And the vision that I saw, it wasn't it. I knew I was going to be miserable because, just off of my personality and, what it means or what it takes to be a lawyer and things like that, I just knew it wasn't going to work out. So I was just like, okay, what else can I do that I'm going to love, and I'm also going to be able to bring in money? And at that time I had my uncle. He was in like networking and all that other stuff, so he was just like, yo, why don't you come to one of my classes, because he was teaching CCNA. He's like, why don't you come to my class, just see how it feels.
What's CCNA, by the way?
CCNA is like a networking certification.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I get in there and I'm listening. I'm just like, oh, this is not bad, because I was already tech savvy. I work with computers all my life. Even in church, I'm part of the technical departments and things like that. So I'm just always around troubleshooting computers, whatever. So when I went into that class, I was just like, this is not bad. So from there, I was just like, all right, instead of me just getting a certification, let me also get the education. So I went back to get my master's degree, and that's when I got into cybersecurity. I went to my, my advisor, and told him like, hey, I'm going to make a switch to cybersecurity. And he was just like, that's 2 different ends. Are you sure you know what you're talking about?
So you were going to start over?
Yeah, I was going to start over, to be honest. He was just like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And I'm just like, why not? I have time. It's not like I have a family or kids or whatever. So, we went through the process, and I was able to get into the school for cybersecurity, and that's when my journey started.
Would you say, taking it back to like elementary school, would you say you were generally a good student?
Yeah, I've been a good student. I mean, starting off, when I first, came to this country, I had difficulties, trying to adjust language, all of that. So at first it was a little rocky, but over time, once I adapted, I was just, this is not hard.
Where were you born? Where's home?
I was born in Nigeria. Yeah. So I migrated here. I came here when I was around 7 years old.
So somebody watching this right now, probably you are the inspiration for cybersecurity, getting into the field or just looking to get into tech. Would you say your uncle who was teaching CCNA at the time was your inspiration into getting into tech, cybersecurity? Definitely,
actually. Because just seeing how he was moving, what he was doing, and I was just like, oh, okay, I definitely want to be on this level. At that time, though, that was when like IT wasn't really popular, but people that were in it, they were making good money, they were just doing whatever. And he had like different businesses as well, too. So just watching how he was rolling, I was just like, yeah, I actually wouldn't mind this, and so, yeah, he definitely inspired me in making that decision.
Well, so if I understand correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it was both what he was doing as far as like his tech job and also how he was moving, assuming, like he was driving well, living well.
Yeah.
Would you say that's a good motivation for somebody to get into cybersecurity or tech?
Well, okay, that shouldn't be the only motive, because at the end of the day, I still, love, I love anything tech related. I was naturally just good at it, but I won't say that should be the only motivation, because at the end of the day, you still need to love what you're doing. You still need to, sit down and ask that question. Okay, am I going to be happy here in 20 years? Yes. You might be able to make $1 million, but are you going to be happy with that million? Mm-hmm. That was a stretch, but you get what I'm saying. So definitely, it's not just how they're rolling. It's also about your own passion. Like, are you going to be able to, love what you're doing? Because that love is what's going to propel you to the next, chapter. Like tech in general, you don't just stay stagnant. Mm-hmm. It's continuously evolving. So you yourself have to, see, okay, how can I, get better? What new cert do I have to take, etc. And you need that passion to be able to really put your heart into it, to put everything into it, really.
So you spoke to your guidance counselor. Mm-hmm. She was like, listen, this is two different spectrums. Was that person like a mentor, or it was just like, you just go to somebody in college, or did you go out and seek a mentor? Did you speak to your uncle? Would you say before getting into it, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, seek a mentor, or just what should somebody do?
Definitely talk to people. Like my guidance counselor, he was like a mentor. I was actually very close with him. I had a really good relationship with him throughout my whole college experience, to be honest. That was the guy, that I always ran to whenever I had, questions. So, he was like, he was literally a guidance counselor for me. He helped guide me. But at the same time, don't just go into it thinking that you know everything or whatever. You still need to talk to people, because tech is huge. Mm-hmm. Even cybersecurity on its own, is huge, and that's just a part of tech. Mm-hmm. So definitely, reaching out to people, watching YouTube videos, understanding it, so that way you actually have a path, rather than just going in there and not knowing your next step. Mm-hmm.
What would you describe your first? What was your first job like? What was your first job out of cybersecurity?
Oh, in tech?
Yeah, in tech. When you got your first cert of your degree, did you, by the way, eventually get a degree in tech?
Yeah.
And what was your degree in?
I got a master's in cybersecurity.
And you finished your undergrad in computer science, in
criminal justice.
Criminal justice.
Yeah.
And then you got a master's in cybersecurity.
In cybersecurity, yeah.
Was it easy getting a job?
Oh man, that was a process. It was not easy. It wasn't easy at all. It took me about 8 months to get my first job after my certification, and I guess maybe a little over a year after graduating with my master's degree. Because one thing I realized was getting the actual degree and the certification, low-key, two different things. I felt like the certification actually really, it teaches you what you need for the job. The master's degree, I'm not saying don't do it or anything, but it just gives like a whole overall view on everything. But when I took the actual certification, I started off with the Security Plus. When I took that certification, I was just like, yeah, this is completely different from yes, some things were like, yeah, but it didn't go so specific, and then from there, like, I learned so much, just from the certification. And then, then I transitioned to trying to get a job and all that. And like I said, that process took months. During that time, after graduating, even though I had a master's degree, I thought like, yeah, I got a master's, you can't talk to me, Mm-hmm. Nah, I was wrong, bro. Like my first job really out of my master's degree was, I wasn't even in tech. I was doing customer service.
For?
There was this company called Stripe. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
Is that related to Cash App?
Sort of like PayPal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a cash company. So I was doing customer service there, and it was a very painful experience. It was very humbling at the same time.
In what way?
The fact that man, when I get into the story is crazy. All right. So I was actually one of the most educated people in the company. Like it was a new startup. Stripe itself, Stripe itself is not new, but I was working for the subsidiary for Stripe. So that company was new, so they were just trying to get people. So, amongst my coworkers, I was like the most educated. So they would be looking at me like, bro, you have a master's degree. What are you doing here in criminal justice? I mean, not criminal justice, in customer service. And that thing will always hurt me because it's like, I know where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to get into tech, but I need a job at least right now while I'm still applying and all that other stuff. So every day to be like, Dami, you're still here? Like, you're, you know what I'm saying? Like, at least be a manager or something. It's just like, I mean, I can't be a manager just like that, you know? And also the pay as well too was...
How much were you making?
I was making like 30K.
30K, yeah.
Yeah.
A year, yeah.
Exactly. And I just graduated from my master's and I thought, like, yeah, even if I graduate, I'll be making at least like 50, 60, maybe even 70. But to make 30K, you know, with a master's degree, everyone else there didn't even graduate with bachelor's yet. You know, the only other people that were on my level educationally were like my managers, etc. So it was tough. You know, it felt like I was just being laughed at. Like, what are you still doing here, Dami? You know, and I was there for months. But, you know, during that time though, that was when I decided, okay, let me go get my certification because obviously this degree is not enough because I kept getting turned down from jobs, etc. So I was like, okay, let me do Security Plus. And then that's when somebody in my church recommended I go to this, you know, one person that was sort of teaching Security Plus. So I went up to him, or I got his information, we talked, and I was in his class. And that's how that began, you know, did my certification, learned so much from him. And then the job process. Now that was the difficult one.
We'll get to that, but this was the job remote, local, or?
It's funny you said that. So I was literally at first it was in person. And that's when COVID hit.
The DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Yeah. I was in the DMV area. And then
I just wanted to put it on record for reference as far as like a 30K salary. For somebody in like California or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, in the DMV, locally. But yeah, I was working in the office, and then a few months later, that's when. COVID not even hit. A few months, a month later. That's when COVID hit. Yeah.
Describe a day, like a typical day as a customer service, you know, for a startup.
Oh man, it was crazy. So the thing about it, what I was primarily doing there was, you know, helping people navigate the app, the Stripe platform, and all that other stuff. So you're typically just sitting behind a computer, responding to emails, responding to instant chats. Sometimes we even progress to like picking up calls and things like that. So that was literally it. And then you have to meet like a quota every day, like 30 tickets or whatever. So
30 tickets?
Bro, they were working us.
Whoa, yeah.
They were working us, bro. Like it was constant. Like you had no break, literally. Like as soon as you're done one ticket, you can't even breathe. You get another,
yeah.
And then you gotta answer that, you know. And that was my life for a few months, bro. It was.
Ah, man, would you say though it's to propel you, that fire? It's like, listen, I have a master's, I have a goal in mind, and it was a good entry level experience. Like, should somebody just be shooting for, listen, I want to get the security analyst job, or is it okay to say, listen, I can get a customer service rep and build from there?
I actually love go-getters that, you know, want to go, because that was actually what happened to me afterwards. You know, we'll get into that later, you know, when I was just like, okay, that's my target. But at the same time, though, I actually like people to go through that bottom experience. You know, it doesn't even have to be necessarily customer service, because customer service is a little different. But let's talk about tech. In tech, you have like your help desk, for instance. That's honestly a great place to start, because you will learn so many skills. Like technical skills specifically, you know, that you can also carry to the next level as well too, you know. And also you're sort of, you know, the thing about tech is like, as long as you're able to get through the door, you know, you can always elevate. So help desk is honestly one of the best ways, and I definitely recommend it, to be honest. You don't just have to shoot for the top. Not saying that there's nothing wrong with that, but it's also good to get that foundational level, you know, and you know, work your way up.
So from there now, where did you go next? After you were there, it's like, listen, I gotta level up. Got your Security Plus. You took a boot camp. Boot camp versus self-study. What are your thoughts?
It depends on your your learning process. Me, I can't really study alone. It's not like I can't, but it's not the best option for me. I'd rather have a teacher or someone that I could easily, okay, this doesn't make sense to me. Just explain it for me. And it will hit me. Like, I will be able to process it perfectly. But like I said, it just depends on you and your learning styles. Some people do. I do have friends who are like, yeah, I have like 6 certifications. I just sat there and read. And that's great. Me, no.
What is like a baseline? You know, a lot of people will say Security Plus. Is that what your thoughts are as well? For like, if somebody's looking to get into tech?
Tech in general.
Oh, cybersecurity.
Okay, cybersecurity, yes. Cybersecurity, absolutely go for the Security Plus first, because one thing about that book is it touches on everything. It touches on a bit of cloud. It touches on, you know, risk management. It touches on the technical aspect, you know, the vulnerabilities. It touches on everything. And from there, once you build that foundational knowledge, you're able to then, number one, decide, okay, which area? Because like I said earlier, cybersecurity is huge. You know, cybersecurity is like, how I like to describe it is like an umbrella, and there's just different, you know, things inside of it, you know what I'm saying? So from there, you know, it sort of helps paint a vision like, okay, I sort of like this area better. Let me just focus on it. Let me focus on AWS, or let me focus on, you know, governance, risk, compliance, you know, things like that. So definitely cybersecurity wise, Security Plus is the best way.
And so you hear a lot of people, like, the blanket term now is cybersecurity as well as tech. When I mentioned tech earlier, you were like, and then I mentioned cybersecurity, you were like, okay, this is what is it? The same cybersecurity tag? Is it?
No, it's not. In my opinion, at least, you know, cybersecurity is cybersecurity. Like, there's a whole different. There's a lot of stuff that has to be done on that side. You know, talking about vulnerabilities, talking about, you know, like I mentioned, compliance, you know, all these different things. There's different rules that you have to follow there, you know, the pen testing, all that. And then when you talk about tech, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, more like, you know, IT admins, you know, all that other stuff. Like, that's different. You know, they also have different rules. Yes, at the end of the day, it is still tech, but I like to put that, you know,
distinction.
Yeah, the distinction, you know, cybersecurity and tech.
Yeah. So now you know, you're like, listen, I got to get out of here. I got to make some money. For me personally, it was like, I got a degree in cybersecurity. I just knew, hey, listen, I got to get in this field some way, somehow. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. Did the help desk, you know, route as well. Being that you did customer service, it's technical.
Yeah.
Did you think I'm going to get into networking on a higher level, maybe get a A+ certification or networking plus certification or Linux, or was it cybersecurity for you? Or how did you land to where you are now? What was the next route? What was the next step?
Yeah, like I said, I started off doing networking, but I didn't go through with that. Number one, because it sort of got interrupted with me getting the degree. But after my degree, my focus was just simply cybersecurity, you know, and that's when I linked up with my other professor, you know, through his boot camp. He's also a teacher as well too for one of the colleges. So he too was able to guide me, and just paying attention to who I was around and what I was seeing. My focus was just cybersecurity, and that's where I knew, okay, that's my next step. I had people that was doing networking, you know, and all that, but just looking at it, it just wasn't for me, that specific area. So that's why my focus was just on, you know, the cyber analyst roles, you know, etc. And that was how I got into that.
A lot of people, you know, right now on Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn, and they see people posting about tech, cybersecurity, salaries, tips, different things like that. And it's like, listen, I can watch a YouTube video and, you know, follow what Dami is saying right now. Go get a Security Plus, do this, do that, and I'm gonna be good. But I personally think it's virtually impossible if you don't know some people. What are your thoughts on networking in terms of knowing people in the industry? Like physically going to something, like somebody sitting down with them, or having a relationship with somebody who's in it online that can walk you through some things or introduce you to some people?
Big time. Networking is huge. Oh man. It definitely, it opens doors. You know, like it literally can take you from the bottom to the top in 2 seconds just because of who you know. So it's really important to really network. At first, it was very difficult for me to network, because due to my, you know, personality, I was very, you know, stick to myself type of guy, until, you know, I met somebody. And from that, I was able to build a relationship with somebody else that was able to sort of guide me and do this. And I was just like, huh. And from there on, I realized the importance of networking, because, just the fact, the amount of doors and information that I got from just the people I surrounded myself with. And it wasn't just, me and one person. No, that person introduced me to other people, and blah, 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 blah. And, that's how I got so much information that helped me go into the next level, that helped even guide me on, okay, this is actually the next term or next step, or even figuring out, okay, what's hot on the block right now? What certification is actually the best certification? What job is going to put me in the best position to make the most money, etc. So networking is huge. You got to network. It's a big thing.
And even for the people who are already in it right now, a lot of times we get complicit, and it's like, I just know my little circle, and I'm not looking to get out, and and you get stuck in like, hey, I got my security plus, and that's it. You're not leveling it up. So was your next job after help desk or customer service, customer support, where you are right now? Was there another job? Was there another stepping stone?
Yeah, there was another stepping stone that I had to. That was the intro. That was when I was literally like, I made it, mama. Yeah. That was crazy. I can never forget that. Yeah. But yeah, it like I said, the whole journey to that, it was not easy. And that's one thing I want people to know. What I do and what I do on the side. I let people know, like, okay, just because this person got a job in a month doesn't mean it's going to be your story. Everyone has their own story. Mine, I like to tell people, it took me 8 months until finally I got a big breakthrough.
That's quick. 8 months. Shoot, 8 months is quick. Just, in perspective.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That 8 months didn't feel quick. I'll tell you that much, bro. But within those, the 8 months, I learned so much. And then, that's when I finally got my big breakthrough for this company that called me. And again, the way I even got it, I always got to factor in God into that. It was low-key a miracle, and I thank God every day for it. But yeah, it was a big breakthrough, to get into that, because that was how I even really launched my career, actually stepping in, because there's a difference between, reading it or, hearing about it, but experiencing it, nah, it was different. That was what was needed. And from there, going into the next step.
So where you are right now, what would you describe your, first of all, title and what you do on like a day to day? I'm an information assurance engineer. I work with a lot of developers and I work with a lot of code. And my day-to-day is primarily, looking for vulnerabilities within codes that are going to be deployed into these different applications. And also like a sort of consulting. So, I see something, I'm able to bring it back to the devs like, hey, this is what I see. This is how you're going to have to fix it. I could either recommend it, or I just got to let them know like, hey, this is what I saw. You guys have to take a look at it. And, and then I have to make sure that those vulnerabilities are actually remediated before they can push it up to the next environment for the application. And there's a lot of other stuff that I do on the side too in the job, but that's primarily, the bulk of it, ensuring that those codes are done properly. And so there's a level of like technicality, like you got to keep your eyes, ears on the streets, meaning the streets, meaning the internet, to know what vulnerabilities are out there, what new things or what new patches and things like that. Yeah,
definitely. You got to keep an eye on everything. But, the good thing, luckily about, the field that we're in, these tools that, that is out there, they really help, and also shout out to, all these different frameworks as well too, that also sort of guide you on how to remediate and all that other stuff. So there's so much information out there. So it's not like, you just have to sit there and like figure stuff out. You have the internet, you even have Chat GPT to be honest,
to be honest, tools such as like Qualys or Nessus, and then frameworks like PCI DSS or
NIST,
all things.
There's so much to really help guide you, and then from there you're able to figure out the solution. And another thing too that I like to point out is you're not always alone either. You know, you have people around you at your job. You have coworkers that could also help you put their whole input in and all that as well. So it's not like you just have to sit there and crack your head. And, you know, yeah, you have help, you know, so whenever it's needed, whenever you need it, you know.
That's the one thing about this field. It's like, there's so much help in like your office and then the internet. And then, you know, there's just so much help. But, you're in the private sector. I don't know if you can answer that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, here in the DMV, there's, you know, private and then government and then contracting. Your thoughts on, you know, staying private or going contracting for the government or going federal, you know, like working for the government?
I have some opinions on that. Number one, private, of course, will get you the most money. Well, starting off,
I'm just learning that like last week.
Really? Yeah. Private will always pay more. Pay pretty good, you know.
With benefits and everything?
Yeah, with benefits and everything. Government, on the other hand, starting off, it's not going to be the best, but the benefits is crazy. That's something that I love about them and appreciate. And your job, there's more security in your job. So looking at, you know, private companies like, you know, those big tech companies, you know, see how they laid off thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You don't really hear that of the government laying out that many people, you know, because there's different processes of getting in. And then contracting pays as much as private, maybe a little more, but the only thing is there's really not too many benefits, you know, from there. You know, there are some, but it's not, you know, really the best. So to the individual, it just comes down to the individual. You know, what do you feel, what would you like? Do you want to just make your money now? Or would you rather be in something more secure, knowing that, okay, if another pandemic hits, for instance, you know, you're working for the government, they're not just going to lay you off because there's not enough, you know, funding or whatever, you know, like they don't really work like that. So it boils down to the individual. Make your money now or go into the government and just.
Have you thought about, you know, going either way, contracting the government, maybe in the past?
What's funny is like the way that like my career has been with my companies, I've sort of been on like both sides, sort of like private company, but we do have government contracts and all that. But really, I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to get into the like official, you know, government. Number one, just for job security. You know, yes, I know it might not pay as much, but over time though, you know, definitely with, you know, you accumulate years, your pay is gonna increase, of course.
What in your last role, you know, we know that you start from the bottom, you know, 30K a year as a help desk or, you know, customer service. In your last role, how much were you making? Like,
in my last role, when I got my first,
like your big boy job.
When I first got in, I was making like 60K. 60K. At that time, that was something to me. That was huge because I just went from 30 to 60. What? So I wasn't even thinking. But I mean, then again, I learned a lot of lessons from that process as well too. That I was able to apply.
To negotiate salary.
Yeah, negotiations, because that was something I failed to do. Because I was so invested on like, I just need a yes. I don't even care. You know, I didn't even like when they told me to sign, I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Come on. Let me sign the papers. You know, I didn't even stop to try to negotiate because I could have gotten paid more. Because when I got into the job a few months later, I realized something. I was just like, I was looking at my coworkers. There's no way we're all making the same. There's no way. And I feel like I got lowballed. And I was just like, dang, bro. But I was just so excited. I was just like, nah, I'll take whatever, bro. Like, just let me come in. So that was definitely a lesson, you know, right there. And I try to tell people as well, too. Like, when you get that job, like, yes, I know you might have waited months, you know, whatever. But don't just rush into it. Actually talk to them, you know, talk about sign-on bonuses. Talk about, you know, negotiate your salary. Don't just take their first offer. Like, just try something. You know, even if it's 15K more or 10K more, just something. You know. But yeah, that's something I just try to tell everybody.
Yeah, I always say like, you know, shoot for the highest as possible. Like that way, when you get in, you're not in a rush to get out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it also starts to look, because you can get a job, especially when you're already in the door. You can maneuver and get a job easy. Exactly. But then it starts to look bad when they look at your resume. It's like you did 9 months here, a year here.
Yeah,
facts.
They're like, okay,
you're not reliable or you're not, you know, trustworthy because you're chasing the money. So try to go as high as possible. That way you're happy, and also, not only with the money, but it's a good environment.
Yeah, facts.
What would you say is a misconception? It could be salary, it could be the work, it could be the hours, it could be, whatever. It's a misconception in the field for somebody looking to get in that they've heard that it's not true.
Definitely the job part. Because one thing I've been seeing a lot is a lot of people just thinking, oh, I just need to get a certification and I'm going to have a job by like the end of the week. It's not the case. It's not that easy, especially now with, so many people, again, coming in with that mindset, like I said, you know what I do on the side, right? I've gotten all the calls like, so, I just got to get your certification, right? And then I'll have a job next week, it's just like, we have to break it down to them. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like now, you're battling against so many people, like what, I think close to like 50,000 people this year were fired. Mind you, there's another 20,000 people trying to migrate into tech. Plus, don't forget the 10,000 people who are trying to change jobs. That's your battle right there. That's what, almost 100K right there. Are there 100K jobs? Obviously some of them are going to be more qualified than you as well too. So that's that misconception right there. Like, oh, all you need is a certification and that's it. Like, no. And another thing is people like to be complacent, they just get one certification, think they're good. No, you literally got to level up. Like, it's not just, oh, once I get in, I could just relax. No, you got to find a way to improve because technology is moving. There's something new every year. There's a new certification. I think there's like 2 new certifications this year. GRCRC, I said that long. There's also 701 or 601 Security Plus coming out. Like there's just continue, So you yourself also have to move in. It's not just a one and done. Like there's always a leveling up. And also the money. One thing I've been seeing a lot, especially on like Twitter, all that, 6 figures.
Yeah. There's a difference between gross and net.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's, even before the gross and net, even just making the 6 figures, again though, everyone's story is different. Just because I'm saying this now doesn't mean that, your job that you first get isn't going to be 6 figures or whatever. But you have to be prepared to start from the bottom up. Yes, some people's story, 6 figures, wonderful. But some people like me, I didn't start from 6 figures. I had to start from the bottom and work my way up. So you have to be prepared to do that. Don't just listen to people like, oh, this person is making 6 figures. I too can make 6 figures. Yes, you can make 6 figures, but it's not just going to be immediate. You got to just, there's a season, like the Bible says, there's a time and season for everything. You just have to just work your way up, really.
This is kind of a different question, but it's kind of like in the same line of what we're talking about. This is trending right now. While you're reading it, I'm a tell the people what you're reading. So this guy helped his girl that he's dating right now get a job in tech, 6-figure job. I assume maybe she was, working somewhere that is nowhere in, the 6-figure salary. He expects a Rolex for his birthday. She got him a watch that I looked up cost $150 plus dinner. And it's blowing up on Twitter right now. People are like, she's cheap, dump her and stuff like that. What are your thoughts?
Nah, she's not being cheap. She's being economically smart. Because again, it's not like you get the 6 figures in one paycheck.
Right.
Number one, you still, there's still taxes being taken off of it per paycheck. By the time especially, oh my God, when you actually make the 6 figures and the government takes their part, it's almost like this doesn't even look like, it doesn't feel like 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing people need to keep in mind. Like when all the, the taxes, your insurance, when all that stuff is taken out, what you're left with.
And just a quick tip, max your 401k, people.
Oh yeah.
Max your 401k. Take advantage of that 6-figure salary and max your 401k.
Absolutely. So that's one thing too. Like she's not even being cheap at all. She's, she's being smart about it. You can't just lay everything, down like that. Like you just got, 100K right there in the paycheck.
What's more important to you, company culture or that 6-figure salary?
Company culture. I'm not gonna lie. You want to be in a place that's actually like a good fit for you, because yes, you could make that 6 figures, but if you're environment is toxic, you're gonna want to leave so fast, bro. But I mean that's sort of in line with what happened to me, in my little career. But I thank God for the where I am now and the people I'm around. Oh my God, lovely people. They like make me want to come to work every day just because like everyone is just vibes. It's chill. Everyone gets their job done.
You remote or hybrid?
Yeah, I'm remote.
Oh dang,
I'm remote. Yeah, I've been remote my whole career.
Whole career.
Yeah, I don't know what it means to be in the office.
Golly, man. Hey, that's love. That's love. That's love. This is just me, behind the camera salivating. I've never experienced remote, bro.
Nah, it's the move. But
how do you mentioned earlier, staying informed and keeping your ear to the street. How do you get, your news about cyber and things like that? You and your partner, we're gonna talk about him in a minute and what you guys do on the side, actually put me onto something like, the Darknet Diary, something that I've been listening to since we had our conversation. How do you stay informed? Is it through, job incentives, like some jobs will pay you to continue your education? Is it through podcasts, just searching the web, or just talking to people? It's
a bit of everything. Number one, going back to what we're talking about, networking, you're just hearing things, and then from there doing your own research. There's also blogs. There's various blogs out there. Even on social media, let's say you're not a blog person, but you're a social media person. There's different cyber news on Instagram, Twitter that literally always update like, oh, this is the latest breach. Oh, this is the latest attack. And it's not like you have to like sit there and do a whole deep read, but as you get to a point where you're able to understand, so they could just say, oh, this is the new vulnerability out there, and so it just clicks like, oh, so this is probably how it's run. But of course you could do more research and all that. But yeah, there's different ways. Podcasts, like you said, the Darknet Diaries, love that. I love it, because you're just learning, and you're also learning how people think, and things like that. Like there's so many ways. And also some shows that are out there as well too, like Mr. Robot. Yes, it's a little exaggerated, but there's shows out there that you could learn different, pick up a few things here and there from as well too. There's a lot.
One thing that a lot of people in cybersecurity tech, especially here where we are, do is, you do a little extra on the side just, because it's a passion and it just, keeps you on the toes. And we also have a desire to see people succeed. You have Kingship Tech that you and your partner are running. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Kingship Technologies is actually one of our businesses that we have on the side. That started a few years ago as well too. It was actually inspired by him. I always give him credit because how it came about was, well, number one, Kingship Technologies, it's a consulting and also a little tech academy as well too, in which we're able to guide people into the next journey for, in tech and all that. We're literally like their advisors and also help them with their certifications and all that other stuff. And also, part of the consulting as well too, trying to consult for businesses and help them, run their scans and, just basically helping them improve their security posture as well too. But that came about a couple years ago. Like I said, Tiroye, that's his name. He actually was the mind behind it. He was trying to go for another certification, and he realized that I had that certification. It was the AWS. So he was just like, bro, can you like teach me, like.
You got AWS?
Yeah.
And you leave my, bro, when we turn this camera off, I'm coming to your house to learn. Yeah, I've been trying to learn from my brother, but he's in Michigan and like.
True.
Go ahead.
But yeah, he just came up to me and was just like, hey, I know you have this cert, but can you like teach me?
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, let me teach you. And then I guess he was seeing how I was doing it, and he was just like, you can actually like, make money from what you're doing, right? Because obviously you know what you're talking about. Yeah. So it's just like, why don't you think about it? And at first I was just like, oh man, do I really have the time for it or whatever? But he pushed me, to be honest, and then we just started it together. I brought him along. We were like, okay, let's actually do it together. So we figured, okay, what is the most important certification? Like I mentioned earlier, Security Plus, because that's one of the people that we like to focus on, people that are trying to get in. Because one thing we noticed is a lot of people come in thinking they know stuff, but in reality, you don't really know anything, you know, so let's just be that guide for them to, you know, sort of push them into the next level and also guide them as, you know, guide them in whatever else, you know, they need to do. So that's how that came about. We started off really small. And then from there, we sort of just pushed out to a wider range of people. But yeah.
And so everything that we've talked about today, somebody can literally hit you up on Instagram, Kingship Tech, and get one-on-one personal training. Is it in person or virtually?
A lot of our students are from outside of the state. Sometimes we get people from DMV, but majority of people are from everywhere else. So we actually like to make it, you know, remote, so that way anybody could really, you know, hit us up. You know, you could always reach out to us, Kingship Technologies on Instagram. You know, we have somebody that handles our social media, be able to get back to you ASAP.
And can you touch a little bit about the other stuff or no?
Yeah, I could. We actually have we started another tech company as well too. We're building an app. We're working with some, you know, developers and things like that, and we're trying to build something in which, not to get too specific, but in which can help promote different businesses. You know, because we looked around to other applications that sort of do something similar, but they're all missing one thing, because the thing is they're focused on one single area. So we figured, okay, why don't we branch out and try to make an app that could include all different types of businesses, you know? So that's something that we're part of right now. It's a long way off. Our launch is going to be in the next month for the web-based. And then the actual application base is going to be by the end of the year, I believe.
Got it. How has your perspective for cybersecurity evolved, like, over the years? It could be whatever.
It's definitely opened my eyes. Like, I mean, through my experience and again the networking side of things, to fully understand what cybersecurity is and how many different moving parts. You know, there are. When I came in, my mindset was just that I had was simply, oh, we just sit behind a computer, we write codes. We're like the police of the internet, you know, etc. And then when I actually got into it and started talking to other people and seeing, you know, what they're doing, what they're learning, I'm just like, oh wow, it's not just that. You know, there's so many different sides to it, and that's just one thing I love about it. There's so much you can learn. Like, it's not just even one thing that you have to limit yourself into. It's a broad area that you can just pick up a piece here, there, you know, and just learn it, because, you know, why not? So that's something that's definitely changed. Like, it's not what the movies make it seem. Like, I think I mentioned...
Or the internet.
Yeah, or the internet. You know, it's not what it makes it seem. I think I mentioned Mr. Robot, the show. I used to watch it back in the day when I was in my master's course. And, you know, the show's about this hacker, you know, trying to, you know, hack this company or whatever. So I thought, oh, I guess this is what a cybersecurity does, because his role was a cyber analyst at his job in the show. So I was like, oh, so this is what they're going to be doing. And then when you actually get into the field, it's just like, oh, this is different. They were exaggerating,
right, yeah, way different.
I love it. And the thing about it too, it sort of scares people, because I get a lot of people, they're like, yo, Dami, do I have to learn how to code in order to get in? Do I have to learn how to do this? And it's just like, no, there's different roles that you can get into. Cybersecurity is just not coding. You know, there's a lot to, but there is a side you could code, of course, you know, but there's others.
That's a you know, insurance engineer.
Yeah.
I want to get into insurance analyst. That's what my mind is stuck in there. You don't really, I mean, probably 20% of code is your job, you know, and
the thing is, I don't write code,
right? Yeah.
You know, but I'm able to analyze it and you know, run my scans with it and all that. But it's the developers. That's their area. I'm not gonna tell them how to write a code or not, you know. But I'm able to pick up on, you know, some things. Even going into the job, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little hesitant, because I'm just like, the interviewer was just like, do you know how to code? Do you know how to use this? I'm just like, I don't know, but I could figure it out. He said, okay.
We can do a whole different video on how to, you know, go through interviews.
Yeah, bruh. It was that whole interview process. I was looking a little I was like, am I even going to get this job? Because he was just like, okay, what happens if someone, you know, comes at you with C++ questions? What are you going to do? Like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it was good enough, you
Yeah,
know, because
yeah.
I got the job, you know.
Yeah.
So definitely, it's not like you need to, you know, code, you know, and all that.
What's next? What's next for you? Is it, you know, continue working, you know, get a new job and better salary? I mean, you love your job, or you know, eventually just full-time business, whether it's both your companies and more. What's next for you? Like in the next, I don't know, 2 years?
Man, there's a lot going on, bro. Definitely still gonna be, you know, doing my business on the side. Who knows, might even add another one with the way we're going, because I don't know, the way God has just given us these different opportunities, it's mind blowing. So who knows, but definitely business, job wise, also trying to level up in that area, because I have a target area next. So sort of still working my way to get to that next level, because again, continuous elevation, you can't slow down, or you can't be complacent. So definitely going to be looking for, you know, like a new role, you know, a new area. I have a target area in mind, based on what I'm doing right now, and just knowing that, oh, I can actually do that, you know. So with that knowledge, it's just like, okay, cool. I think that's going to be my next.
What's your target salary for that new role?
Target salary, man.
Not that money, you know, is all the be all end all.
So that way I don't entice you guys.
Right.
It's like, now target salary, let's say around, like, it would be nice to get a solid 160.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
Nice. That's a nice little, you know, something. It'll keep me grounded for
some time. Yeah. What's the last scripture that you read?
Last scripture. Actually, I'm actually studying John right now.
No, the book of John. Yeah,
the book of John. Because, you know, something that's sort of been bothering me was the fact that we truly don't know who Jesus is. And I was listening to the Perrys. I don't know if you know. Preston and Jackie. Yeah, Preston. Yeah, Preston was just like, if you want to really know who Jesus is, why not open the book of John? So that's something I've been studying, and right now I'm at the part where he's, you know, about to be crucified. Of course, you know, there's Matthew, Luke, and all that who are given a different account, but I love this account because it's just straight to it, you know, and just seeing Jesus as an example, you know, with everything that he's going through, and it's just like, wow, this man he's just remarkable, bro. Like, man. So yeah, that's the part I'm in right now. He's about to be crucified. Peter just denied him, you know, three times. The rooster crowed, you know, and I just love this perspective of you know, the book of John. I love the way they were that he was writing it.
Dami, cybersecurity engineer, security analyst,
and information assurance engineer.
Information assurance engineer.
Same family.
I appreciate you taking the time, man. I hope a lot of people get, you know, some good perspective and, you know, motivation, inspiration from this. Any last things?
Last words. You know, stay the course. Don't give up. Definitely, because, you know, everything takes time. To be honest, and it's part of a journey, and you're always going to learn something, even with your journey, even if it's not working out the way you would like. Don't give up, because at the end of the day, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel, you know, but you're not going to experience that light if you stop halfway. You have to go all the way through. That's the only way you're going to see the light. So definitely keep moving, keep progressing, don't be complacent. You guys got it.
Amen.